Hi guys, today I want to give you another 5 clear, practical, and effective ways to help your kids with ADHD. Hi, my name is Dr. James Thatcher. I'm a clinical child psychologist and I have been working with a lot of families over the last 20 years with kids with ADHD on navigating a lot of their unique strengths and challenges. And while every child is different, the research has shown that there are consistent ways on how to help children with ADHD thrive by using their strengths and using some different strategies and approaches to help them. And so today, I'm going to share 5 of those with you. So let's get into it. Number 1 is effective communication strategies. So a lot of the research out there has shown with kids with ADHD, they tend to struggle with being given verbal instructions. So let me go over a couple of evidence-based techniques and approaches that hopefully are going to reduce some inattention and frustration on everybody's part. One of those is making sure to give eye contact before giving instructions. If your kid is focused on a video game or hyper focused on building Legos and you tell them to clean their room or give them some sort of instruction, you might hear, "Oh yeah, okay." But are they really listening? Who knows? Get their eye contact first. "Hey, I need your attention. Can you look at me? Eye contact, please." And notice how I say that. I'm not very demanding. I didn't say, "Eyes, give me your eyes." No, nice and calm. "Eye contact, please." Turn, look, and then give the instruction. Use clear and concise language. Give one instruction at a time. When you give 3 or 4 instructions, I get it. You want to get all this stuff done, and you know all the things that need to be done in a row. But their mind doesn't work that way. It needs to be one at a time. They're not being malicious. They're not trying to get out of it. Again, they're not lazy. It's that they can just focus on one thing at a time at this developmental stage. So giving those instructions one thing at a time, instead of pick up your shoes, clean up your bed, get your backpack because we got to go. It's just got to be first thing. Hey, make your bed really quick. Right. Number 2, right, get your backpack ready. Go ahead and get your shoes. One thing at a time. Another one is to ask your child to repeat the instructions back to you. And I'm going to preface this one again with being calm and collected and using a lot of effective communication strategies. So you're not barking these instructions at them. You're having a nice, even intonation, but you're asking them, "Hey, can you tell me what I just said?" Just to make sure that it registered. Because I can't tell you how many times in therapy I feel like I'm saying something like really important to a kid with ADHD, and then they were completely forgot about it because their mind was distracted. They were focused on a squirrel that's running up and down the pole outside. I've got some windows and there's a gal above me that loves to feed the squirrels for some reason, and they're pretty darn distracting. So if I want to make sure that I'm getting a point across, sometimes I will ask, "Hey, can you repeat what I just said?" And then I'll either hear what I just said or, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was distracted." Then I have no problem repeating what I just said. And then they'll get it. Another thing that you can do and try is instead of giving verbal instructions all of the time, do visual cues. So if you've got a certain routine in the morning, and this is just an example, to where you know that they have difficulty putting on their shoes, getting their backpack, getting all the items ready, put the backpack by the door, put the shoes by the door. That way it's right there. They're going to see it. And I'm sure that you've used some of these strategies before too. If you have to take something to work the next day, maybe you put it by the door. Or maybe you write something on a sticky note and put it in a place that you know that you're going to see it. Use those visual cues for them too. And another one is to allow extra processing time of what you just said. Sometimes it can take them a little extra time to process the verbal information that was just given to them. So making sure that when you're giving them instructions and when you're talking to them, it's not rapid fire. You slow down, wait for a response, let it sink in a little bit. Number two is emotional regulation. Lots of kids with ADHD have emotional regulation difficulties. And that's what a lot of the research shows is teaching emotional regulation or distress tolerance skills is greatly going to reduce their stress level and increase their ability to focus. So a couple of strategies to do this in order to build up emotional regulation or emotional awareness is to label their emotions during calm moments. So reflecting back if they had a tantrum or a meltdown, what were they feeling then? And help them label that. Not just that I was feeling bad or good. Bad or good is a value judgment. Those are not emotions. Good and bad are not emotions. Being sad is an emotion. Being angry or frustrated is an emotion. Labeling their emotions is what's going to help them regulate better. Because how are you going to be able to change a problem if you can't identify it first? Awareness is the first step in changing anything about our emotions or pretty much anything in life, really. Another one is to create a calm down corner and put a lot of sensory tools in there. So that would be fidget tools, things that they can do with their hands, little ouchies. That's a really cool product that I bought the other week, and I am not associated with them at all. I literally just bought it the other week, and I've already got some good feedback about these things. They're good to fidget with. In fact, I'll fidget with it right now. Another tool to help teach emotional regulation is to teach and practice a lot of distress tolerance skills. So, deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, visualization, practicing these skills with them. And not when they're elevated, practice it with them when they're calm. That way, when they do become upset and elevated, they have that muscle memory to go back to the strategies that you taught them and use that in the moment in order to de escalate themselves. Use emotion skills with them. And I've talked about this in other videos to where I'll use what's called a thermometer, like an emotional thermometer, to where 0, you're feeling just fine, extremely calm. 10, you're all the way elevated. You're extremely upset or angry or sad or whatever emotion that you want to evaluate, and help them visualize where they're at in there. So a 3 can look like that they're getting a little fidgety and they're rubbing their hands if they're worried. And an 8 is they can't slow their thinking down. They're crying, they're upset. Maybe they want to punch the wall, but they're not quite there yet because that's a 9 or a 10. So help them actualize that, help them visualize that. And that could be drawing a thermometer out and putting in red marker where they're at that moment, or have them give you a number of 0 to 10, but being able to visualize that. And lastly, and probably most importantly, modeling emotional regulation yourself. So being able to be aware of your own emotions and keep your own emotions in check, and showing and modeling for your kid that when you do get upset, instead of punching the wall or yelling and screaming, maybe you go for a walk or you go to the other room and calm down. So modeling these behaviors for them is going to be very effective. Number 3 is homework and learning strategies. Kids with ADHD can struggle with academic work. Research from DuPaul and Stoner's research indicate that certain accommodations can greatly improve academic outcomes for kids with ADHD. One strategy would be to break assignments up into 15, 20-minute chunks and give some breaks in between these things. Their focus is going to drift after a period of time. So making sure that these breaks are incorporated into their study time is going to greatly increase their ability to focus during those periods when they have to sit down and get that information in their head. Use checklists and visual schedules in order to keep track of their different assignments and make sure that their assignments are complete. When they get done with something, check it off. When they don't know what to do next, have them go to the schedule and see what they need to get done next. Implement a consistent homework schedule. I've worked with kids before to where they do homework at 10 at night or even later, because when they get home, they get distracted with their phone or video games or what have you. So making sure that there's something consistent, and this is just an example, but when they get home, they get a couple of minutes to use the restroom, get a snack, get situated. That takes 15, 20 minutes. And then it's study time for an hour or an hour and a half or however long where their developmental needs are. And then on top of that, and this is the caveat that's going to happen, is there's going to be some nights where they don't have any homework. Keep that homework hour consistent. So if they don't have homework, it's reading hour. Pick up a book and read it. And you're going to read it for the next hour. And then at 5 o'clock or 6 or whenever that hour is over with, put the book aside and then we can go off and do other things. But keeping that time consistent. Another thing to consider is using assistive technology. So speech to text or text to speech technology that's out there. There's tons of stuff. Sometimes it's hard to type everything out. Or instead of typing it and reading it, maybe they need to hear it. So meeting the kid where they're at. Maybe they're more of an auditory learner and they need to hear it instead of see it. So use that technology. Consider that as another alternative. Coordinating with their other caregivers and teachers to make sure that they're getting their needs met. So sometimes in the classroom, that could be coordinating with the teacher to where your kid sits closer to their desk so they can give gentle reminders to refocus. Putting them at the front of the class opposed to the back of the class. And if you can visualize a classroom being at the back of the class, you've got all these other kids in front of you doing this and that, lots of distraction. So when you put them at the front of the class, it's just the teacher up there, or it's just the material that's on the board that they can see. Keep them away from the windows. It's very distracting to see the wildlife out there if it's by a busy road, people driving by, cool cars. It's going to distract them. So trying to keep them away from that. Number 4 is nutritional consideration. And although this isn't going to be a primary approach, research has suggested that nutritional intake can influence some children with ADHD and their ability to focus and energy level. A couple strategies to this would be to eat regular meals at consistent times. This is going to help regulate blood sugar. Another thing to think about and consider is to add some protein in the beginning of the day, at breakfast, or at lunch. This is going to keep their energy up and more even throughout the day. Another one is to monitor for any food sensory sensitivities. Again, a lot of kids and a lot of folks with ADHD have sensory sensitivities. It's a neurological issue. So monitoring that and making some accommodations for them. And another one to look out for is processed food. Eating food with chemicals in it or that's got lots of preservatives, sometimes that can affect the body. Food is essentially fuel for our body. This is what keeps us going. And then when you put man-made chemicals and having our kids eat processed foods, sometimes that can affect their functioning. Sometimes it can affect their ability to focus. And number 5 is building your own support network. Parenting kids with ADHD can be challenging sometimes. And I keep going back to the research, but a lot of the research does indicate having a good support network is not only going to help your kid, but it's also going to help you and your family to be able to support them. So some tips for this would be to consider joining a parent support group for parents with kids with ADHD, either in your local community or something online. Another one would be to consider parent-child interactive therapy. This is going to be a very structured approach in being able to reinforce different behaviors, ignore different behaviors, and a therapist that specializes in this. Not everyone can do PCIT. I can't do it. I need to get specialized in it. I'm interested in it. It teaches parents different strategies on how to interact with their child. Another one, even though it might seem obvious, but maybe it's not, is to continue to have open communication with everybody else in their support network. So, not just other family members or your partner, but also the kid's teacher or Taekwondo instructor, anyone and everybody else in their lives. Keep them in the loop, have open communication with them. Make sure to schedule regular self care. Self care is essential to prevent burnout. You've got to be able to take time for yourself. Go hang out with your friends. Do something relaxing. Go on a vacation. Do something for yourself. And I want to remind you that progress isn't linear. So, celebrating any kind of improvement that's going on, take a moment and celebrate that. This is a journey, not a destination. Parenting a child with ADHD has a lot of challenges, but also has a lot of opportunities for growth, being creative, and getting connection and getting support. By implementing these evidence-based approaches and skills consistently, you're not only helping your child right now and alleviating some of their symptoms, but you're helping them develop these skills so they can use this and carry it forward into adolescence and their teen years and adulthood. And I want you to remember that finding the best combination of these strategies take time. So be patient with yourself as you navigate all these different challenges and try to find what works best for not just your child, but for you and your family. And it's my hope with these videos that trying these different skills, using them, seeing what works, using them consistently, you're going to find what best works not just for you, but your child, and it's going to help everyone thrive. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you give this one a look as well. Take care. Bye-bye.